headlining tour with Incantation over the summer, and just let me know how that went for a strong lineup, and especially for with everything from the pandemic, all these shows are getting more popular and bigger and everything. I hope it was a good boost.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, we've been friends with Incantation for a very long time. So that kind of went off without a hitch, you know? We all get along really good. Yeah, all the shows were surprising. You know, I wasn't expecting some of the turnouts the way they turned out. They were great, man. I mean, one that particularly comes to mind, I believe it was Denver, Colorado, was a complete zoo. It was great, you know?
Denver, from what I've been told, is a pretty decent metal scene. Maybe the band hasn't come there in a while, but no, yeah, Denver, I'm told, usually shows up, especially the past few years.
Yeah, it was great. And the Denver show in particular was they were a little wild that evening. Let's just put it that way.
I mean,
Yeah, all the show every show was fantastic though, man. It was great.
good. I'm really glad to hear that. And with some new news, the newest album just coming out, "Angels Hung from the Arches of Heaven," which is a killer name. It has a nice ring to it. It's well said, and the artwork is like it might be the most like serious or like really intense artwork I think the band's ever done. Who was responsible for creating the artwork for that?
The same guy that did our last records. I think he started working with us on Blood for the Master. It's a guy. It's an artist named Jordan Barlow, and yeah, he knocked it out of the park. You know, there's certain little things in there that you can look and catch if you're familiar with your occult knowledge, you know, but it came out fantastic. Yes, absolutely. You
It's
know,
an, it's
but he, that's like the first thing he actually did was actually really good, but he wasn't satisfied with it, so he came up with this idea, which is
interesting.
which is unusual for an artist. You know, usually an artist will be like, "All right, here it is. This is what you have." But he actually wanted to redo a different image for us, and he knocked it out the park, of course.
How was the first image? Did some of the band members actually like it more, or did everyone agree, oh, this is much better than the first product?
Well, the first image was cool, and we're probably going to use it for a shirt design. But I I think that once he grasped the idea that we had given him for the artwork, that he kind of interpreted it differently on the first version, and then he did the first version and then actually realized, okay, wait, no, okay, I got this, and then did the second version, and of course we're like, yeah, this is, you nailed it, perfect, you know.
And speaking of the actual like artwork of the record, this is, I think, probably the most well-produced album the band's ever done. But in terms of you can hear everything. But there's this like in Born of Satan's Flesh, it sounds like a death metal band right beginning. You can hear Zach's bass drums are like booming, but they're not like everything's just it's clear but still gritty and dirty. But you can hear everything on a high level. Was that because like the 5 years since Vengeful Ascension, just having that much time with everything going on in the world and new material and just that's like I think the biggest gap between albums for the band, I believe. So
Yeah.
how was the startup of writing the new record?
Well, we had been working on ideas since like 2018. We started accumulating ideas for the record. And then, we were planning on going in the studio in 2020. And we all saw what happened there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
we physically couldn't get into a studio. So we just kept messing around with the songs and, making small adjustments here and there, and I guess after 1,000 small adjustments, things tend to change a little bit. So sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. And but I think all the adjustments that we made to the songs and stuff just kind of made them that much better. Rather than sitting there and like, okay, the song's finished, don't mess with it anymore. Instead of taking that kind of idea, just kind of small little intricacies in the songs that just we kind of fine tuned, so to speak.
And I guess it must have been okay to go back to them because if the idea if the if the concept of the song is strong as it is, even if you didn't touch it, to go back, you felt confident we can go back and fix this, and we're not going to mess anything up. We can actually make it better because the songs were already probably quality before you made those like thousand little changes, right? I would.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could always go back to square one, and that was the thing that we had time to mess with stuff because we had nothing else to do, being that the pandemic stopped us from doing what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So, we kind of just was like, well, let's try to see what we can do to make this better. And if worst case scenario, it doesn't come out the way we see it, then we'll just go back to the original idea. So basically, that's a lot of time to experiment. Let's put it that way.
And the experiment, I think, started like 7 years ago with Constricting Rage of the Merciless, where hear in Goatwhore this almost like black and roll kind of with those songs, Barren Teeth and a Revolt, and you see this different side, that energy, you feel the energy of Goatwhore playing live in that album. And like with the new, like with those different kind of chords and just like that more extra, like head not really the moshing stuff, but more of the, that like nodding, you're just kind of like into that groove. And I'm very curious about like your guitar style, like progressing over the years and going from Eclipse of Ages into Black, 22 years ago. It's it's still it's the material's there, but it's still such a raw album. But for this record, like it's like you get a little bit of everything from all the records. Like from you still get those those like black or death and roll if you want to put it, and then then again in the middle of Board of Satan's Flesh you get that like Ben's death metal part like right in there. And so just curious about like your vision musically and guitar wise, like what would you say that you do, like how you write? I guess I'm curious more of how you write.
I tried to make everything as dark and evil and heavy as possible in whatever mood I might be in at the time. So it all depends on what mind frame I'm in, is how I'm going to write it, how I'm going to approach a riff or a song. And being that we were in such dark times the last few years, I think that really reflected on the way I was writing. To where like you were saying, like songs like Barry Teeth for Revolt, that almost has that rock and roll party, drink
Definitely.
whiskey kind of vibe.
Hmm.
I could say on this new record that the party is fucking over. You know, it's definitely a darker element in this record than there was on songs like that. I mean, there's little touches upon that kind of vibe in the new record, but I feel that it's definitely a darker vibe on this one than there has been on the last couple of records.
Yeah, like Death from Above, it has that same kind of like chord, like that, that sliding, and then the fast picking, tremolo, like double bass part, but it's so heavy. So like you get that still mixture of a little bit of both. Like just from that part alone, you would think, oh, it sounds like the last record a couple years, and then that part right after that, like that part, where just that double bass, the tremolo picking, the palm muted, but it's so loud. And it's like again, you just kind of get that mix, and it's like I think it's really one of your strongest records for sure.
Thank you. I feel so as well. This is the one I'm most happy with anyway. This one is, I guess you can say, the closest that we've come as far as like me envisioning a record, how it should end. Not end, but how the final product should be. Because there's always been, like on our last couple of records, there's always been like maybe a song or two where I just wish that I had another month to finish the song
Mm.
and really fine tune it. And the sound of this record as well. I find that not to talk bad about our past releases and our past records. They're all fantastic. They got the point across, so to speak. But I find this one was really honed in of what I was envisioning the record to actually sound like as a whole.
Yeah, and also I believe it's the longest record. It's like about 47, 48 minutes. I believe it's the longest record the band's done.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to chop a song or two, but I was outvoted on that. But anyway, let's not get into that.
And like too, like again with your like guitar style, like the weight of a soulless heart, like the first half of that song with that like that dissonant open chord, like you just get those emotions with the tone and everything, and like that kind of style of like metal where like you hear that things can be slower and still be just as dark, as grim, as heavy, and really interesting. So like that's something I wouldn't really hear for the band do back for carving out the eyes of God, those kind of just that like that, and it's in the like beginning of the title track. But like "Weight of a Soulless Heart," that's like one of the more darker songs from the band, and it's different, but it still sounds like like not far from like the message of the band, but just done in a different way. Like those little things, those little Easter eggs, like is something that I haven't really heard from like from the band in recent time. Like not that the albums weren't completely straightforward, but this one, like you said, there's just this wave of the different types of songs and these parts and these chords, and it's just very well balanced.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there was a lot of experimentation because all I had was time to experiment with. So like "Weight of a Soulless Heart," like you were talking about that song. I wasn't even sure what was going to happen with that song when I first got it completed, and the rest of the guys came in and we kind of fine tuned the arrangements and stuff, and it ended up coming out the way it did, which I thought came out really good. But yeah, that was one of those things that you never know until you try.
Yeah. And with Trans Am, with Zach and Ben and yourself, is it as simple as that the whoever whatever instrument each person is playing is what they contribute? Do you write the majority of the music? Does Ben contribute to the music and more of the lyrics and the vocal style? How does the songwriting actually, either for this album or generally, how is it contributed between each member?
Well, generally, I'll come up with an entire song finished, and
Okay.
I'll make a demo of it, and I'll present it to everyone. I'll send it to all the rest of the three guys, and from there, sometimes they'll be like, "Okay, well, that part's a little long. Let's chop this down into half." Or Ben will be like, "Extend this part two more times because I want to do this with the vocals." Or sometimes they'll be like, "That riff sucks, write something else." And sometimes they'll be like, "Don't fuck with it anymore," because they know how I am, that I'm constantly trying to make it the best that I possibly can.
Hmm.
So they'll be like, "Don't, I know how you are, don't fuck with it anymore. It's fine, it sounds fantastic." So it's usually a group thing, but I'll present the core idea to the guys, and then they'll come back with either change this, change that, or don't fuck with it anymore. It's great.
Yeah, that sounds actually like I talked with Kyle Rasmussen of Vitriol a few years ago, and he mentioned the same that pretty much he's in charge of like the music and riffs, but the rest of the band can either shorten a part, add a counterpoint. They don't make riffs, but they'll like slow this part down. It's more of like the other things, the other elements of that. Is that kind of the same?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and with Ben as well. Like, tell me because you both you started the band and he came like barely a year later, I believe. Tell me about the dynamic between both of you and like again like how that presentation of writing is, but just further along of like is there other like what else is it like writing together with him and how you guys bounce off the vocals and the music. I'm just curious more with your relationship with him over these 20 something odd years. What is it like but typically with you and him of how you work together and just kind of like how it's been.
I mean, it's great. I mean, that's why we've been together for 25 years, because we work really good together. We get along fantastic. But as far as the writing goes, I'll have him come over to my house because he lives down the street from where I live. So
Really?
it's
Oh.
yeah, it's like literally a 5 minute car ride. So I'll have him come over when I'm writing songs, and just he'll hear things differently than what I'm thinking, which is always a good thing, you know. And he'll just come in when I'm writing. I'll have a song completely finished, and he'll come over and we'll make adjustments from there. But as far as like the vocal goes, as far as the vocals and the lyrics go, I just kind of let him do what he does because he does Ben Falgu better than anybody else. So he has yet to disappoint me or make me say, nah, don't really maybe change that. That maybe happens once in a blue moon to where I'll hear something that he's doing with his vocals or the lyrics, and I'll be like, something will pop in. It's the same thing with him when he hears the structures of the songs. He'll hear something that maybe I didn't think of that will benefit the song.
It must be because of his work in Soylent Green and yours in Crowbar, but just being around that kind of some of that same that Louisiana style Southern sludge, some of that aspect of those bands, and it sounds like you guys just from your past and present, it just sounds like it works like with that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's all about, because when you're writing a song, or let's say he's writing lyrics or I'm writing a riff or whatever, we have a certain thing in our head that we want to portray within that. And sometimes when you step back and have someone else listen to it, or like a prime example, and let's have an artist that's drawing a picture, okay, and the picture isn't completely finished, and someone comes in and goes, why don't you add some red in there, or maybe take out some of the shading. It's the same idea basically. It's like when me and Ben work together. It's instead of you know the initial idea that the individual has that he's working on, he might be overlooked because he's so consumed with the point that he's trying to come across that he might overlook a lot of ideas that
Hmm.
can be explored.
That with that example about adding that color in, just curious about anything personal, of course, but like what does he see like when you present the writing to him and he shows his lyrics and his vocal presentations? What is it particularly, I guess, like what is it that he sees? Like what can you describe as best as you can, I guess? What does he see like particularly that makes it those it brings out those interesting changes when you present it to him? Like I'm just curious of like even though he's a vocalist, so but he still does more than just the singing. I can just tell. What does he actually kind of see? I'm just curious of a little more deeper of what he sees about music.
I guess it's the song. It's all, and when he listens to the song, because what he'll do, he'll come in and he'll listen to the song, and sometimes he'll be like, play the song like 4 or 5 times so he gets a gist of it. And then sometimes he'll come in and immediately be like, hear a part and be like, okay, stop. Let's fuck with this for a little while. So it's all in whatever mind frame he's in at the time is what he sees, I guess.
And this is probably considered a rare or blasphemous thing for a metalhead to say, but I don't know. Like back in '07 when Iron Maiden released A Matter of Life and Death, there's a video of them. They played the whole album that tour, and there's a video of a fan play old stuff, and Bruce ripped that thing open. And over the years, I really like and appreciate when bands play their new material, especially when it's good, because it generally is. Like I don't know, like Revocation's the Outer Ones and the newest one Nether Heaven. Like I saw them play the Outer Ones in its entirety, and I was like, it was amazing. It was like still my favorite album of theirs too. And Beyond Creation did Algorithm, things that just stayed in my head. I really want people to play their albums more, new albums more. And is that something that's going to be in the future? To play as much of the new record as possible. It's a strong record. I don't want bands to do greatest hit sets. I'm just so against it. It's just lame. It's not, I want people to play their new songs.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. And yes, we definitely plan on playing a lot of these new songs live because I feel that they can come across live, really good. And there's always going to be people that's going to be like, play some of the old stuff, and I have something to say to them. Go listen to our new record. How about that? It's a two-way street.
Right. Yeah. Like I mean, again, like there's gonna be exceptions. We all have our biases of maybe a band we like. Maybe just play that one and this, and I get that. But it's more of the habit and effort to like make something, because again, like each time you see a tour, each time you see that band, it's a new story. If I know that the band's gonna have the same exact encore and the exact same, you kind of know what's gonna happen, and it just changes it, and then that band gets stale. And it just I you know, again, with new material, not all the time the first album's the best. There's bands like that, but I don't think Show No Mercy is the best Slur album at all. You know, but there's fans. It's a nostalgic thing, I guess, because nostalgia dies hard in
Yeah,
music and in life.
right. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. It's like I guess some people just have certain records that they hold dear to them. They have listened to them so many times, and and they might be older albums. I'm the same way. And you have a band that comes out that you want to hear a lot of the older stuff, and you never really had the opportunity to hear the older stuff before. But it's you can't please everybody. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and
And
oh,
but
sorry,
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, where bands are just keep kind of rehashing the same set list and add a new song or a new song or two when they have a new record. I mean, I think that's kind of lame as well.
it
If you
is.
have a new record, you should be playing new stuff.
Yes, and I'll just speak as
Yeah, I told.
yeah. No, I
I
was
get
gonna,
what you're saying.
for sure. And I was just gonna, and I'll throw, and I'm just, I can speak about like Megadeth. Megadeth is one of my favorite bands, regardless of genre and music. But their sets are like, I kind of know what songs they're gonna. I haven't seen them in a. I've saw them 9 times in a 7 year span, and then over time the songs would just kind of be it's gonna be it's a greatest hit set, and they still sound well when they play it. But I know what songs it's gonna be, and you know they can do better, and maybe people say they're older, but then that means then I can change the quality of what I'm expecting then. And as a fan, that's something people just don't want to do or like to admit, you know?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Totally. I
So
mean,
and
but
what?
the the thing with Megadeth is that they have so many great songs
And they don't play
that you
them.
want to kind of. Well, that's true. Let's stop talking about Megadeth. But anyway,
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's going to be either later this. I think either in coming up a few months, the Revocation Alluvial tour in Europe,
yes,
and Alluvial
that's going to
just
be it.
yeah, that's gonna be a sick tour. Revocation just played with Christine and Alluvial, and I went to the San Diego show. And Alluvial played with Rivers of Nihil and Fallujah earlier this year. They were on that tour, and they're doing a mini tour with Animals as leader as Car Bomb. Like they're getting a lot of exposure. They're getting around to these big shows. And Revocation's new album, I think, is the best album of the year, like so far. And with that, with adding Goatwhore to that, how many years has it been since the band's gone to Europe? And again, like that's a tour I think a lot of people should be really looking forward to. Anything you can speak of about it?
Last time we played in Europe, it was like 2018,
It was a bit ago. It was
and
a bit ago.
it's
Yeah.
been a while. Yeah, yeah. So, but I'm looking forward to this tour with Alluvial and Revocation. I'm kind of nervous, to be honest with you. Because I got to play in between Wes Houch and Dave Davidson. So either I'm going to be practicing for the next 2 months, or I'm going to be taking lessons for the next month and a half when I tour with them. So either way, it's a win-win. But yeah, it's going to be. I'm definitely gonna have to bring my A game as far as guitar playing on that tour. Let's just put it that way.
It's a little from all column A, a little from column B. You can do this and this. I think you'll fit in just fine. I mean, I don't think you'd have to work like if it's just going to be a good time, and you got plenty of chops yourself, especially again on this record. That's why I was asking about your guitar playing style. I thought you personally really progressed and leveled up on this with so much variety and played so efficiently and so well. I think you'll be just fine on that tour. I promise.
Yeah, but me and Wes and Dave are real good friends, and there's that friendly guitar playing
Yeah.
shred fucking competition thing that we got going on. So it'll be like it'll be fun. It'll be great. I'm looking totally forward to it. It's gonna be awesome.
Or you guys do little wagers? Whoever messes up the most on the tour has to do this or this. Do you guys do any little fun things like that, or just
No, because I'm probably gonna lose all of them, but
That'd be fine. One of my last questions, again, thank you for your time. As I mentioned, been with, Ben and made the band, I think 97 was when Goatwhore started, about 97, right? 97, 98.
It's somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah. Over the years of just, the band progressing musically and just where the music, and goes. Like, for example, like I first time I saw you guys was Goatwhore, Amon Amarth, Vader, Creator, and Nile in Orange County.
Oh, geez, I remember that tour. Yes, was
I
that the
mean,
Art of Noise? It was the
yeah,
Art of Noise tour.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's Nile was so big. They headlined over Creator for the Dark and Shrines. And just metal back from like '02 when I started going to shows to about 2006. That 4 year span, I just remember shows where Vital Remains sold out big shows. Every show was packed, and the lineups were, I thought, the best lineups. I mean, all five of those bands can headline in these different places. And I guess just talking about the history and talking about, like, just tell me if, I guess, what have you and Ben learned together, like, or like this journey of this, 2 decades plus of playing this music and playing extreme music, big highs, ups and downs, this and this. Just, I guess, tell me, like, any reflection, either if maybe it's not done yet, but for reflection of what starting that long and seeing bands and seeing people young and to go all these. I'm just curious about how it was back then and what you've learned and what you've loved, or just in general.
I mean, it was awesome back then, but at the time back then, not a lot of people knew about us. We're still a very underground band. And you know, uh, all I can say is patience is a virtue. If you believe in yourself enough and you believe in a certain message that you want to portray, then you have to completely roll with it. You can't, myself personally, is you can't, I'm not the kind of person that's going to throw in the towel when it gets a little discouraging. But, from back then to now, there's a huge difference, and, 25 years, I would hope after 25 years of doing this, there would be a difference, but, it's just, we're not done yet. Let's just put it that way. I feel there's still a lot of fire left in this band that we have left to spread upon this planet.
No, the new record completely says that. And speaking about last question going forward, so European tour coming up, and the new album just released about a month ago. Is the goal to play as many like good tours, or as play as much as possible, one-off shows these for 2023? First album in 5 years from the band. What is like the primary goal, or for next year? Like, what would the band like to do if everything went your way?
If everything went my way, I would like to be on a bunch of fantastic tours next year and just try to play as much as we possibly can in front of as many people as we can. And but I think we're going to be a little bit more picky on the tours that we're going to do next year, rather than take almost anything that's thrown at us that sounds halfway decent. So we're going to definitely play it a little bit smarter on the touring for next year. But we definitely we're not going to be taking a break at all, but we're going to be a little bit more particular on what we do.
And I think that's well deserved, because, like, I talked with Eugene of Cataclysm a few months ago, and they were thinking about kind of going on a hiatus, and then they got these incredibly great offers, and they said, you know what, like, we just need to be more proud of what we do and who we are, and to, like, take, like you said, be more particular. Don't just take, just because it's like, we want something we feel we deserve, that's going to be, best for everybody. It's going to be best for the band. It's going to be best for the fans. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. Like, that's actually really, like, encouraging and nice, because the band's been around for so long. The new record is incredibly strong. Like, there should, like, and the better the tours are, the better the shows are, the better it's a win-win-win for everybody. So I think it's a great notion.
Absolutely, yes. So, yeah, that's the plan for next year. Is there's going to be a lot of touring, but we're going to be, like I said, a little bit more particular on what we plan on doing, rather than just jumping on anything and everything that we possibly can, like we've done on the past.
And anything has there anything been planned for 2023? I mean, aside the European tour, is there anything like down the line, or just kind of Nothing to reveal yet, but I mean, anything kind of
Yeah,
strong already?
th- there's a couple of things that are in the works that are pretty nice, but I can't talk about that
Of
just
course,
yet.
yeah.
But yeah, but we have some good shit planned for next year. I promise. Yes.
Great. We're so much looking forward to that. So, and Sammy, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, Angels Hung from the Arches of Heaven. That name is just I love that name. That's a really quick. Who was that for the title track? Is that something that Ben just like? I
That
well,
yes,
that's
that
really
was a
neat.
title of a that was a title of a song, and then he was like, "What do you think about naming the album this?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely. Even if it wasn't the title of a song, that would be a great album title, you know?"
Yeah, no, it's great. So again, so thank you so much for your time and safe travels to Europe when you go. I just in Revocation, their new album like is in even heavier than normal than it is Nether Heaven. So that's
Oh
gonna be a
yeah,
great,
uh,
yeah.
oh yeah, it's gonna be yeah. Oh yeah, I'm well familiar with Dave Davidson. Trust me.
Yeah, that guy is I can't believe how talented he is. It's I'm surprised. I'm still surprised. Like, how is this possible? He's that guy's the man. That guy works super
he,
hard too.
he's a oh yeah, it shows.
Cool. Again, thank you so much for your time. You take care, and we'll see you hopefully in 2023 in the States.
Right on, man. Nice talking to you.
Thank you.